Welcome back to another video. Today I want to showcase to you a plugin called Teote by Voxengo. And as a disclaimer, this video is also sponsored by Voxengo, so thanks for that. I want to show how I use Teote and why I think it's useful, explain a bit what you can do with it and how it differentiates from like Goal Force and DSEQ by TB Pro Audio. So I would say let's start the video and yeah, let's dive right in. So this is how this plugin looks like if you open it in your DAW, and it's already working here as you can see on my drums bus, reducing and pushing frequencies. And this is basically what this plugin does. It tries to balance out your frequencies against a profile. And in the case of this plugin, you can change the profile. It's not hard-coded as in other plugins. You can change the profile. So here we can go from flat to equal loudness to equal rock, equal loudness plus rock, and in this case here I have chosen flat, which is okay for me. And not only can choose the profile, you can also change the slope, and in this case here I am at minus 3, which is I think pink noise, so the curve or the slope of pink noise. But you can also choose here, go back to the default setting, which is minus 4.5. I think that this is more like a pop oriented music curve. But this is drum bass. I want to have a bright sound. I want to have a bright loud sound. So I go to the pink noise profile slope, okay? What's also nice is that you can change the bands. This is also not usual with these type of plugins. So you can go from pretty high detailed resolution of 64 bands. You can go down to 3 bands, which is useful in the case here of the drum bus. Sometimes you just want to balance out drums just roughly. You don't want to have all the details balanced out individually. You probably need this by on piano sounds or pad sounds, lead sounds, or you know, noise textures or something like this. But in the case of this drum bus here, 3 bands are pretty okay. So you can also choose something in between, which is nice, and you can also go pretty high detailed here to up to 64 bands. Then we have a low cut and a high cut, and by default you are dialed in at 35 Hertz, and high cut is at 40k, which is nice to have on the mastering bus because you need to low cut and high cut there anyway. So this is by default, and if you don't need it, you can switch here to amplitude range, which basically changes these low cut and high cut knobs to, yeah, a range filters, where you can say, I just want to only balance out frequencies in the middle, so let's leave the low end and the high end alone and just balance out everything in between these 2 sliders. So it's more like a limiter of where this plugin acts. Okay, so this is also nice to have, but I need here a high cut and a low cut. Just double click for the default values. Then we have a strange knob here called room dip, and I don't know what this actually really does. It kind of reduces the frequency at around 200 Hertz. If you use here the online help, it says profiles mid minus 2.5 dB dips frequency hertz accounts for usual house rooms resonance mode, which reduces intelligibility. Set to 20 to disengage this dip. So if you go down here to 20, it's disabled. So it kind of reduces resonances in your room. If you use speakers, then you can reduce your room's resonance with this knob here. So interesting thing, I never heard of that. I don't know how it works. I think it just reduces the frequency. Okay, that's basically the whole section here of the spectral profile. So you can change the profile which this plugin matches your audio signal against. And then we have in front here the dynamic section, where we have at first here this FX knob, which basically is just a dry and wet knob. And when we go here to the online app, it says affects the strength of the effect by specifying mix balance between the affected wet and dry signals. So it's a wet and dry or just a mix knob basically. So you can mix in the wet signal to your dry signal. So if we have this at full here, you can see it acts pretty drastically. So I don't think it's just a mix knob. It looks like it's more like a strength knob, how much you want to have this plugin act on your audio signal. We have this mastering button here, which basically, yeah, like it says here in the online help, mastering mode enabled, offers a lot gentler gain adjustment, so you can put this with this activated on the mastering on the master channel, and it's more gentle this way, so it doesn't act too drastically on the audio signal itself. Then we have this boost threshold here. If we go up to 0, it basically doesn't change the signal at all. And if you go back here to -60, you can see it's applying more changes to the gain than before. And this is more like a limiter where you can limit the range in how much at max this plugin acts. So it's not a frequency limiter like this one here, it's more like a gain limiter. So you can reduce the gain at how much gain is applied at max. And then we have your timing settings for the attack and the release. Of course, all these frequency bands have a compressor on it, so you can change the timing setting here for the bass. And with the bass, I think this plugin means the lowest band, which is this one here. And then you can change the timing of the top bands via this slider here. So if you want to have the compressor act more faster on the top end, then you probably go to 120 here. So you can dial in the attack and the release settings for the low end, and then the top end is acting more quickly, right? So then we have here also now something like, I think, a timing, and fluid punch here is perfectly nice for drums, and energetic is probably something for pad sounds, for slowly evolving sounds, and fluid punch is more for drums. So, and then you have also a lot of stuff here in between these two extremes. And yeah, that's basically it, the overall explanation what this plugin does and how it works. We have of course here some settings for oversampling. You can go up to 8-time oversampling if you want on the mastering bus. And you can just leave it on auto, and this means it basically acts in, I think, 1-time oversampling, and when you bounce the track to audio, then it switches to 8 times. So you have a much better quality when you bounce out your whole project afterwards. How I use it? It's hard to describe, but I think it sounds best on drums or drums basses on drum and basses, and I use it sometimes on the master bass here itself. And it's because you can change the bands and how much you want to apply it, and yeah, this basically the timings of the compression of each band. That's why I think it's great on drums and the percussion elements in general. With other options like Gulfos, I don't have these options. I just put it on and I can change the amount, and that's it. And here I can play around, see what it does and how it sounds with different settings, and yeah, I can dial it in basically creatively. So it offers at least me some options, right? And also I have the feeling that most of these bands here, which are at max 64 bands, are pretty rough. I think most of the plugins like Gulfos go more into detail. It's more like for shaping or balancing out individual pretty noisy signals. Or in the case of the DSEQ, I think it's more for reducing harsh frequencies in the top end, or for noisy, pretty detailed sounds. And this one here is more like for you know, for rougher estimations or matchings, like drums or bass sounds. So not so detailed sounds basically. But that's just my impression for it. I think it's probably great on every sound, and it's at least nice to have more options than just the usual plugins we had before. And it's a nice plugin, and I probably use it a lot on drums, like I said. Maybe try it out, download the demo version. It's also pretty cheap. I think at default it's $79 or 79 bucks or something like this. And at the moment it's Black Friday. It's Black Friday probably for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So you can get it much cheaper, I think. So give it a try. I'm not done yet with experimenting with it and trying it out, but I wanted to give you a short overview and tell you how I use it. Let me know what you think. Maybe you already have it tried out. Give me some feedback. And yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.